the idea is that it is evidence of sort of a hotly contested scientific theory that animals in proximity to humans actually start to evolve on their own in order to survive in those environments.
Back on Closer Look with Michael Friscoletti, our editor-in-chief. I'm Scott Sexsmith. Lots of feedback from David Phillips, the climatologist that we had on last week in the polar vortex.
I love David. I'm going to say it again. He's a national treasure. The guy has probably done more interviews than any public servant in Canadian history. Yeah. Probably thousands if someone actually went back and tracked it. Always happy to talk about the weather, the most interesting topic on Canadians' minds. And he was lovely. He's retired, and he's no longer the senior climatologist. He's a climatologist. But just listening to him talk, and I actually was doing some Googling on him and his career. And there were when he retired, there were so many beautiful stories written about him.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I think he mentioned off the air, I don't think it was in the interview, that they once did a poll about who's the most trusted person in government. And didn't he come like second? Who was first again? I forget who he said was first.
I can't remember.
Oh, the Auditor General.
Oh, that's right.
Because, of course, we're going to trust the Auditor General. But he was the second most trusted public servant, which was great.
Deservedly so. Okay, let's change gears to tonight's topic. Before we start, you don't have pets. No dogs, no cats.
No, I don't.
Could you imagine for a second having a raccoon as your household pet?
No, I couldn't. I've only seen them going around the garbage cans outside.
Exactly. It could happen. It's not going to happen today, tomorrow, or next week. But it could happen, and we're going to talk about it tonight.
Yeah, apparently there's been some new research out of the United States talking about how raccoons are evolving in the same way that dogs and cats did. It's still going to take thousands of years, maybe. For sure. But they could become, where they're actually able to be house pets. So who knows if the world will last that long, or if there'll be AI raccoons as house pets.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
But yeah, we'll see. We're going to talk tonight to Emma Johnson-Wheeler. She is a reporter at Toronto Today. She did a great piece sort of building on this research and what it could mean for raccoons in Toronto, but also raccoons in cities everywhere. And it's just a really fascinating piece. It's great journalism too, because she seized on something. There's a study comes out, and she expanded it into just a wonderful story. I'm sorry if I sound out of breath. There's just breaking news all over the place, and I basically ran down to the studio. So we're looking forward to talking to Emma.
Raccoons as house pets. Maybe not quite yet, but a new study has found that urban raccoons are heading down the same path of evolutionary domestication that dogs and cats did thousands of years ago. Here to talk about the study and what it all means is Toronto Today reporter Emma Johnson-Wheeler. Emma, welcome to the show. Great to see you.
Hi, thank you. It's great to see you guys.
All right, Emma, let's start with the research that came out of the University of Arkansas. What did it say about raccoons living in cities?
Yes, so Professor Rafaela Lesh and her 16 undergraduate students did a comprehensive look at 20,000 photos of raccoons, both urban and rural, that had been uploaded to the citizen science platform iNaturalist. And they found that the length of raccoon snouts had actually reduced 3.56%. And that is urban raccoons compared to their rural counterparts.
20,000. I went to the wrong school. That would have been a way more interesting degree than anything I did. What's interesting, that doesn't sound like a big difference, especially over 20,000, but 3.56%. How do you even find that? That seems like such a small amount.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. I believe it is a measurement specifically from a point in the skull to the end of the snout. She did say that it was imperceptible to the naked eye, but having done this sort of comprehensive look at it is the only reason that they have an indication.
So, Emma, that change in snout size sounds tiny, but is it actually a big deal in evolutionary terms?
Yes. So the idea is that it is evidence of sort of a hotly contested scientific theory that animals in proximity to humans actually start to evolve on their own in order to survive in those environments. So they become, over time, slightly cuter and slightly friendlier. And one of those examples is their noses becoming smaller.
That's wild. And are there anecdotal evidence too, like do people feel like raccoons in Toronto, for example, are getting friendlier?
I think the sense that I've gotten from people is more that they are getting bolder and less afraid of people. I think certainly we've seen examples of people kind of considering raccoons pets in Toronto, and that is highly discouraged by the city.
And it's also illegal, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. They are on the list of illegal animals that you cannot have as a pet in Toronto.
Do some people actually have them as pets and they've been caught?
I have seen news reports. I believe it was one of our own publications did one earlier this year, and that raccoon was saved and brought to the Toronto Zoo to sort of rehabilitate. And I think because it had not been sort of raised properly, it did actually die.
Okay, so can you just help us understand when you talk to this researcher, what are their timelines in terms of, okay, they're seeing this change in the snout. What does that mean for the domestication of these animals? We're talking hundreds, thousands of years?
Yeah, multiple generations. So the idea for them is not tracking when this started happening so much as that they are catching a glimpse of it in the early stages. So the professor sort of believes that this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity to see this because it's happening now. But she's not going to see the end result of it because that is going to be tens and thousands of years.
Absolutely. None of us are going to be around. Like I was saying, I was joking to Scott. There'll be AI raccoons by then. We won't need the real ones.
Right.
You spoke to some other raccoon experts. How did they react to this research?
Both of them were quite intrigued. They were familiar with the study. I think the perception on both of their parts is that raccoons absolutely are getting bolder and that people have to be a little bit cautious about how they're interacting with them in Toronto and whether they are getting a little bit too close and inviting them into their spaces in proximity to their homes. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I didn't realize how in-depth our news coverage in this city has been of raccoons in the last couple of decades. They are quite like the iconic sort of opposition to the city of Toronto.
So, Emma, what about the public health issue, disease, parasites, aggressive behavior? Can you speak to that for us?
Janet Krivnikar is a chemistry and biology professor at TMU who specifically looks at parasites and transmitted diseases. So her perspective was that the more comfortable we get with them and the closer in proximity we have raccoons to our homes and to our own domestic pets, cats and dogs, we do increase the possibility of transmitting diseases, both from raccoons to our pets and potentially raccoons to humans.
Mm-hmm. What else was interesting to you as you learned? You obviously did a lot of research and read some backstories about raccoons in Toronto. What struck you as some of the more interesting things about their long-standing relationship with raccoons and the people of your city?
Well, just this year, we had the city of Toronto commemorate the raccoon that died 10 years ago that was given a memorial. And it is now the only commemorative plaque in Toronto that is created for an animal. Oh. And I thought it was really interesting that like we have so many examples of people in Toronto sort of making this animal truly our mascot in a way. And that has happened multiple times over the last 2 decades.
That's fascinating. I'm sorry. Can you tell us how did this raccoon die and why did they put a memorial? I'm not familiar with that story.
Conrad the raccoon, the most famous raccoon to ever live and die in Toronto, now has a plaque commemorating his heartbreaking death 10 years ago. So I don't remember at the time how this raccoon had died. I believe it might quite literally have been roadkill. But there was sort of a interesting way that he had become placed on the sidewalk, in which he was so visible that passerby continued to sort of add little bits of memorial around him until it became sort of formalized, and it went viral on social media at the time. I believe there is also a statue in Toronto commemorating Conrad.
That's fascinating.
Now, if you go to the Heritage Toronto website, Conrad the raccoon, and I'm quoting here, "We honor and mourn Conrad, the viral Yonge Street raccoon who died 10 years ago this month."
So just because he went viral, like people sharing photos of it?
I guess.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Here's the most important question, Emma. How do the raccoons in Toronto get along with the coyotes in Toronto?
Yeah, I don't know anything about how they come up against each other, but I do think it's interesting because coyotes are one of the listed examples of animals that could also see signs of domestication syndrome. I believe it's coyotes and foxes that are potential candidates for this study as well.
It's interesting. I joke about it, but it's true. There is and you've looked at it earlier. there is this relationship between Torontonians and the wildlife there because the city has grown so much, it's so big. And we see coyotes, we see raccoons. What do the experts tell you about that and just that sort of conflict between the two?
Just that it sort of presents an interesting opportunity to observe these animals, especially in terms of domestication syndrome, because there is sort of contested and limited research. People in urban environments have a really unique opportunity to potentially be at the start line of this research and to see this happen in live time during their own lifetimes.
All right, Emma, got to ask you this. Would you yourself have a pet raccoon?
I would not. I think that I respect animals too much to, potentially risk their own health for my gain in that situation. And I do think that they're cute, but up close, they're also a little bit creepy.
Mm-hmm. Great point. We've made some jokes, but this is a fascinating piece of journalism. And just, again, I give you a lot of credit for how you took this study and really made it a conversation in the city. Is there anything else we didn't ask you about the piece that you want to talk about?
Just that people really loved this one, and I think it is because the raccoon truly is our unofficial mascot. I was surprised that in all of the arts and sort of culture articles that I've done so far, that people were the most enthusiastic about this piece.
Is there a favorite comment you got about it?
They were all in the vein of them being so cute. Like, I think people are really just excited to learn about the fact that they are getting cuter.
Well, it is a cute photo that ran with it, so we'll have to get Derek to flash it on the screen. But, when you see that photo, you're like, oh, man, they are cute.
Cute until they're ripping your garbage to smithereens.
That's a good point.
That's where the cuteness ends.
That's a good point.
Good stuff. There's Emma Johnson-Wheeler from Toronto today. Emma, good to see you. Appreciate your time tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Never in a million years would I have a raccoon as a pet.
No, well, you won't be here in a million years when they're
Fair point.
Yeah, but you don't know that. People always said that about dogs in the, how many thousands of years ago?
Yeah, I know.
They probably said that about dogs, right? I wonder what the first dog name was.
I don't know.
Well, this is a fascinating story because it's a talker, right? It gets people talking. That's what
Conrad.
That's what great journalism. We cover breaking news, but we also write about interesting things that get people talking.
Conrad the
so it's a great story. It's also a great opportunity to plug Toronto Today.
Yes.
It's more than a year old now, Toronto Today, and it's been wildly successful in terms of the quality of the journalism they're doing and being a new media outlet serving the core of the city. Alison Smith's the editor over there, and she's done a great job with the team that they have. And they always have something interesting or breaking or exclusive that you're not reading in the other papers, and that a lot of times the other papers will go and follow, which is great. So congrats to the team at Toronto Today. This piece from Emma is just a great example of that.
Yeah, and she's another great example of the great reporting coming out of Toronto Today. All right, that's it for us tonight. Closer look at villagemedia.ca. What about you? Raccoon as a pet? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Closer Look Podcast.ca is our website. For Michael Friscolanti, editor-in-chief here at Village Media. Of course, tonight's program produced, as always, by Derek Turner. I'm Scott Sexsmith. Thanks for your time tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7 right here on Closer Look.
Frisco and Scott's Wardrobe provided in part by Moores, Sault Ste. Marie.